A scared, shivering kitten lay alone by the gate, barely moving. Sarah hadn't expected to find anything unusual that morning, until she stepped outside and saw it. The tiny creature was abandoned, fragile, and desperate for warmth. Inside her home was Max, a powerful German shepherd known for his loyalty, but not exactly known for gentleness with strays. What would happen when these two opposites came face to face? You clicked on this video because you want to see something real, something that warms your heart. And yes, this story lives up to that. What Max did next didn't just surprise Sarah, it moved millions. This isn't just a cute animal moment. It's a lesson in compassion, instinct, and unexpected connection. Stay with us, because in the next few minutes, you're going to witness something unforgettable, a story that might just change how you see animals and how they see each other. It was a quiet morning, the kind that usually slips by unnoticed. The sun had just started rising, casting a soft orange glow over the neighborhood. Birds chirped faintly in the distance. Everything seemed still, peaceful. Sarah stepped out of her house in slippers, yawning as she made her way down the porch steps to grab the morning newspaper. It was part of her daily routine. Nothing ever happened during this time. That's why what she saw next felt so jarring. At the far edge of her front yard, near the old wooden gate, something small moved. Barely. Sarah's eyes narrowed. She took a few steps forward. At first, she thought it was just a clump of leaves or maybe a piece of trash blown in by the wind. But then it shifted again, weakly, shakily. She walked faster. Lying in the dirt was a kitten, tiny, frail, and completely alone. Its fur was matted and tangled with dust. Its eyes were half closed, crusted at the edges. The kitten didn't cry, didn't hiss, didn't run. It was too weak for any of that. It just lay there, shivering. Sarah knelt down, her heart breaking at the sight. She reached out slowly, not wanting to scare it. But the kitten didn't move away. It could barely lift its head. Gently, Sarah wrapped it in the sleeve of her sweatshirt and cradled it close to her chest. Inside the house, the temperature was warm, the light softer. She placed the kitten on the couch and ran to fetch a towel and some warm milk. But even as she cared for it, something else weighed on her mind. Max. Max was a German shepherd, strong, sharp, and always alert. He was a loyal protector of the house. Though he had a gentle side with Sarah, he had never been around other animals, let alone something as small and helpless as this kitten. Sarah hesitated. She didn't want to upset him. She didn't know how he'd react to a newcomer in his space. Still, the kitten needed help. She had no choice. As Sarah stepped into the living room with the kitten swaddled in a towel, Max stood at the entrance. His ears perked up. He sniffed the air and walked closer, his large paws making soft thuds against the hardwood floor. The tension in the room was immediate. Max stopped a few feet away. His eyes were locked onto Bundle in Sarah's arms. His body was still, waiting. Sarah held her breath. Then Max took one cautious step forward. Then another. He was close now, so close his breath brushed the kitten's fur. He leaned in and sniffed. The kitten stirred. Max pulled back for a second, then sat down, his tail brushing the floor. What happened next left Sarah speechless. The kitten, eyes barely open, reached out a tiny paw and touched Max's nose. Gently, trustingly. Max didn't move away. Instead, he lowered his head to the floor, stretched out beside the kitten, and let out a soft sigh. It was as if he understood. No one taught him how to do that. There were no commands, no training sessions for moments like this. It was instinct, or maybe it was heart. From that moment, Max stayed by the kitten's side. Wherever Sarah placed it, Max followed. If the kitten whimpered, Max nudged closer. He watched over it like a guardian, quiet, calm, and steady. Sarah watched from across the room, completely in awe. The size difference between them was astonishing. Max could have easily harmed the kitten, without meaning to. But he didn't. He treated it like something precious. She named the kitten Luna, and from that very first day, Luna never feared Max. She slept curled beside him. She purred when he was near. It was as if she knew she was safe now. The bond was immediate. But it wasn't just sweet, it was powerful. Sarah had always believed dogs could be loyal. But this This was something deeper. Max wasn't just tolerating Luna. He had accepted her, protected her, chosen her. Every morning after that, the first thing Sarah saw when she entered the living room was the same scene. Max, wide awake, watching over Luna as she slept. It was as if he knew she'd been abandoned, as if he had decided he would never let that happen again. From the moment Max curled his body protectively around Luna, the atmosphere in Sarah's home changed. It wasn't just about rescuing a kitten anymore. Something deeper had taken root. A quiet transformation that was unfolding day by day. Luna, though still fragile, began to recover quickly under Max's silent watch. The first signs were small. A soft meow, a twitch of her tail, a blink that stayed open a little longer. It wasn't long before Sarah noticed her tiny paws exploring the edge of the blanket or stretching just slightly when she yawned. Max never left her side. If Luna moved, he moved. If she cried out in her sleep, Max's ears twitched, and he gently pressed his nose to her side. She would immediately calm down. At first, Sarah was cautious. She monitored every interaction, prepared to step in at the slightest sign of discomfort, but she quickly realized her intervention wasn't needed. Max's actions were deliberate, gentle, and always respectful of Luna's space. He had taken on the role of caregiver naturally, as though it was something he was meant to do. One morning, Sarah placed a bowl of kitten formula on a small towel in the kitchen. She set Luna down gently beside it. The kitten sniffed at the bowl, unsure, while Max stood a few steps back. He didn't move forward, didn't nudge her along. He simply watched, as though encouraging her silently. When Luna began lapping at the milk, Max wagged his tail once and lay down nearby, his eyes never leaving her. Sarah couldn't help but smile. These weren't just two animals coexisting. They were becoming inseparable companions. And it wasn't long before Sarah reached for her phone and began capturing the beautiful moments happening before her eyes. The first video she uploaded was short, just 30 seconds. It showed Max lying on the rug while Luna nestled beneath his neck, her tiny head rising and falling with his calm breathing. She didn't expect much from the post. Maybe a few friends would comment. But within hours, the video had thousands of views. By the next morning, it had reached over 1 million. Messages poured in. This brought me to tears. I didn't believe animals could love like this. Max and Luna are what the world needs right now. Sarah was overwhelmed, but not surprised. She knew she had witnessed something rare and real. It wasn't staged. It wasn't trained. It was two creatures, one large and powerful, one tiny and vulnerable, finding something precious in each other. Every new video she posted added to their growing fan base. But Sarah didn't chase likes or follows. She continued to document their days simply because she didn't want to forget any of it. The moments kept coming. One afternoon, Luna batted at a small feather toy for the first time. Her movements were clumsy, but Max watched with unmistakable pride. When she jumped too high and tumbled, Max gently nudged her upright with his nose. At night, they would rest together on the couch. Luna always found her way to the warmest part of Max's body, curling up near his chest or beneath his chin. Max never moved until she was fast asleep. The bond went beyond behavior. It was in their eyes. Luna looked at Max with full trust. And Max? He looked at her like she was his to protect. Sarah began to understand something that many overlooked. Animals are capable of profound emotional intelligence. Max wasn't acting on instinct alone. He made choices, intentional, kind, patient ones. And each choice brought Luna closer to the playful, healthy kitten she was meant to be. Sarah often found herself watching them for long stretches, forgetting time. It was like watching magic unfold, slow, quiet, and deeply moving. One evening, as they lay by the fireplace, Sarah whispered, "You saved her, Max." Max blinked slowly, as if he understood. But Max didn't just help Luna. He helped Sarah, too. Since her husband passed a few years earlier, the house had felt heavy with silence. Max was a comfort, of course, but the arrival of Luna filled a space Sarah didn't even know was still empty. Her presence brought laughter back, and Max, through his gentle care, brought healing. Sarah hadn't expected to find family in the form of a stray kitten and a German shepherd. But that's exactly what happened. In a world full of noise, division, and distraction, Max and Luna became something rare, a pure bond that asked for nothing, gave everything, and reminded people everywhere that love doesn't need words. It just needs time, trust, and a little room to grow. And Luna? She had been given a second chance, not just at life, but at love. As Max and Luna's bond grew stronger, so did their reach beyond the walls of Sarah's home. Videos of the pair continued to gain attention, and soon, people from all over the world were captivated by their story. Comments poured in from every corner of the internet. Words like unbelievable, heart-melting, and soul-healing flooded Sarah's inbox. But with the attention came questions. And doubt. Are they really that close? Or are you editing the videos? German shepherds are protective, sure, but this level of bonding sounds exaggerated. Cats and dogs don't bond like this. Something's off. Sarah wasn't surprised. People are cautious of what they see online, especially when something seems too perfect. And in a way, she understood. After all, how often do you see a large, strong dog gently caring for a kitten, as if she were his own pup? But Sarah knew the truth. She lived it every day. There were no camera tricks, no scripting. The moments she shared were real, unscripted, and deeply moving. Still, the doubt stung. One morning, Sarah decided she would let the world see what she saw, with no cuts, no music, no captions. Just Max and Luna being themselves. She set up a tripod in the corner of the living room and pressed record. Then she left the room entirely, letting the camera run for 2 hours. What it captured was more powerful than anything Sarah had ever posted. In the video, Luna wandered around the room on wobbly legs, swatting at a loose thread on the rug. Max lay nearby, eyes half closed, clearly relaxed. When Luna got tired and began meowing softly, Max stood, walked over, and lowered his head so she could climb onto his neck like a pillow. She curled up instantly, her tiny chest rising and falling in rhythm with Max's breathing. There was no prompting, no performance, just two souls finding peace in each other. Sarah uploaded the raw footage with the title, "No Edits, No Tricks, Just Max and Luna." Within 24 hours, the video had over 5 million views. People who had doubted before returned to comment again, but this time with awe. I was wrong. This is pure. This proves everything. What an incredible friendship. I cried. No joke. Cried watching a dog nap with a kitten. Even veterinarians began commenting. One wrote, "I've worked with animals for 30 years. Bonds like this are rare but real. Max's calm behavior shows high emotional intelligence and a strong nurturing instinct." The internet, once skeptical, was now overwhelmingly supportive. But Sarah didn't share the videos for approval. She shared them because what was happening deserved to be seen. Not for views, not for fame, but for faith. Faith in the unseen connections that exist in the world around us. Faith in kindness that crosses species. Faith in second chances. Despite the support, challenges remained. Max had always been Sarah's guardian. He had a routine, a sense of order, and a sharp awareness of his surroundings. Introducing Luna had shifted that rhythm. While Max adapted beautifully, Sarah still had to adjust her home to make sure both animals were safe. Luna began exploring more. Curious, playful, and bold, she didn't understand the dangers a curious kitten could face. One evening, she climbed onto the windowsill and nearly slipped through an open gap. Sarah caught her just in time, heart racing. From that day forward, Sarah kitten-proofed the entire house. No sharp corners, no open windows, no wires within reach. Max, as always, helped in his quiet way, standing alert when Luna wandered too far, placing himself between her and the stairs. Together, they made it work. And through it all, the bond only deepened. Max had proven himself not just as a companion, but as a protector. His patience never wavered. Even when Luna tested his limits, she would tug at his ears, climb on his back, and bite gently at his tail. Max never growled, never snapped. He would look at her with what Sarah could only describe as amused tolerance. If Max was a gentle giant, Luna was the spark. She brought color and mischief into the house. She reminded Max to stay playful, to stay present. And Max, in turn, gave her the stability she never had before. Sarah often sat in her kitchen with a cup of tea, just watching them. No need for TV. No need for noise. Just a quiet hum of love between a dog and a cat. Uncomplicated, beautiful, and real. The doubts had faded. The proof was undeniable. Not because Sarah said so, but because Max and Luna showed it. Day after day, moment after moment. Max and Luna's bond had grown so strong that Sarah started to believe nothing could tear them apart. But life, as it often does, threw an unexpected challenge their way. It was a cold evening in late autumn when Sarah noticed something odd. Max, usually so alert, seemed off. He was slower, quieter, and didn't greet her at the door like he always did. At first, Sarah thought it was just the weather, or maybe he was just tired. But the next day, he still wasn't himself. Luna, ever the curious kitten, tried to nudge him out of his funk, pawing at his ears and climbing onto his back. But Max didn't respond. He simply lay there, his eyes drooping. Panic settled in Sarah's chest as she called the vet. Max had been in perfect health just days before. What could possibly be happening? At the vet's office, the diagnosis was clear but terrifying. Max was ill. It wasn't anything that could be fixed with a simple medication. His condition was serious, and the vet was uncertain about how much time he had left. Sarah's world tilted. The thought of losing Max, her constant, her protector, was unthinkable. But what struck her even harder was the idea of Luna losing him too. That night, Sarah stayed by Max's side, her hand resting gently on his head. Luna, who had never been apart from Max for long, crawled into the bed and curled up next to him. She didn't play. She didn't meow. She just lay there, silently watching Max as if she knew what was coming. The next few days were filled with tests, treatments, and uncertain answers. Sarah did everything she could to make Max comfortable, but his condition didn't improve. Every time she looked at Luna, she saw the confusion in her eyes, the same confusion that filled Sarah's heart. Luna had never known life without Max. But Max, despite his struggle, never gave up on Luna. His head lifted when she nudged him. He licked her gently with a slow, tired tongue, as if to remind her, I'm still here. And Luna, understanding the gravity of the situation, responded with the quietest purr. It was a moment that transcended words. Max's condition continued to worsen. Sarah had never felt so helpless. She spent every moment by his side, giving him comfort, love, and reassurance. She had watched him protect Luna, guide her, and teach her what it meant to be loved. And now, all she could do was hold him as he struggled. Luna seemed to sense the shift in the air. She no longer played with Max's tail or climbed on his back. Instead, she sat quietly by his side, her small body pressed against his. There was a new quietness between them, a mutual understanding that filled the room with a heavy silence. One evening, as the sun set, casting a golden glow across the room, Max let out a soft sigh. He turned his head toward Luna, who was lying beside him. In a final act of tenderness, he reached out with his paw, gently tapping her side. Luna responded immediately, nuzzling into him, purring softly. It was a peaceful moment, full of love and gratitude. Sarah watched, tears streaming down her face, knowing this would be their last shared moment. As the night wore on, Max's breathing grew more shallow. Sarah held him in her arms, whispering the words she'd been unable to say earlier. Thank you, Max. Thank you for everything. Luna, now perched beside him, seemed to understand. She quietly curled up next to her guardian, her tiny body pressing against his for one last time. Max's breathing slowed to a stop, and with that, he was gone. The room was still, the only sound a faint rustling of the wind outside. Sarah sat there for what felt like an eternity, cradling Max's head in her lap, Luna nuzzling her hand. The bond that had begun as a quiet, unspoken connection between two unlikely companions had left an indelible mark on both their hearts. Max had taught them both what true loyalty, love, and friendship looked like. Luna, though she was still young, seemed to know that something precious had been lost. But she was no longer alone. Max's love, his lessons, and his protection would live on in her, just as he had lived on in Sarah's heart. The house, once filled with the clamor of their playful antics, now felt quiet. But there was peace, too. Peace in knowing that Max had fulfilled his purpose. He had given everything to the ones he loved. Luna stayed by Sarah's side, comforting her as she had done for Max together. They would carry forward the memory of the dog who had given so much. The bond between them would never fade. It was a love that transcended life itself, forever etched in the hearts of Sarah, Luna, and Max.